All right, guys. So today we're gonna look at the best drills to help you to explode out the blocks. When we're thinking about block start, we're thinking about being as explosive as possible. We're thinking about triple extension. We're thinking about the angle, the horizontal position where you're not trying to be vertical where you're trying to go up. You're trying to be horizontal where you're trying to go forward. So today we're gonna go over 10 steps to help you to get out the blocks as fast as you can. So let's get right into it. The first thing you want to start with is some wall drills. This is how I would warm up. And for my wall drills, I would not want to be upright doing the wall drills. I want to be at a slight incline or a slight like horizontal position doing the wall drill. So I would say choose a low wall, or you could flip a hurdle and do it in that same angle. And what you're trying to work on is triple extension, driving the knees, pushing away from the ground behind you. That is the goal. Your goal is to drive the knees and push away from the ground behind you. When we think about coming out the blocks and what's the mindset or what's the optimal position of a block start, it's not a vertical push, it's a horizontal push. So the wall drill is going to help you to understand that angle that you're trying to be in. Right? So the first thing I would do is make sure I'm introducing wall drills into my training. And how I would set up my reps and set for my wall drills is we'll go for 15 seconds where we're switching one leg at a time, and then we'll go for another 15-second where we're doing double switch, right? So that is the first thing you want to make sure that you're doing. Training the angle of sprinting, training the angle of the blocks. You want to make sure you're finding that angle and mimicking that position and learning what it feels like to be in that position. So wall drills is going to be the first thing to help you to push off the blocks. Next thing here that's going to help you is sled pushes or sled pulls. Not heavy weight on your sled. You want to go with 5%, right? So when I say 5%, I mean like you want to go like, you want to use weight on there where you're still going fast enough, where you don't feel like it's slowing you down too much, but it's giving you a little bit of resistance. So I would say, if like for myself, I'm 170 pounds. So what I do is I put like a 15-pound weight on my sled when I'm pulling it, and then I will put like a 25-pound weight or 30-pound weight on my sled when I'm pushing it. And you don't want to go no more than that, because you still want it to be challenging enough to where you're getting a little bit of resistance, but it's not challenging to the point where you're compromising your form. And with this, it's the same thing. You're trying to mimic that angle of sprinting. You're trying to mimic that forward drive. You're trying to mimic that knee drive going forward, right? That is the goal. These two top exercises. So the first one is the wall drill and the second one is the sled push or sled pulls. These two are going to help you to mimic that angle of sprinting or off the blocks to help you to understand the horizontal force that you're trying to apply, not vertical force. Horizontal force is what you're trying to apply. So that is the second one that you could introduce. And how I would do it is, if I'm working on acceleration, I'm not going no further than 30 meters. Right? So I would start off with like 20 meters and then I go 30 meters. And I would do contrast as well, where I go with the sled at first, then I go without the sled just to reinforce the mechanics of the acceleration. Right? So that is the second thing that's going to help you to explode out the blocks. You can use a resistance band and you do two-step drives, right? So what I mean by this is, you have a long band and you tie it against something firmly and you're trying to get into that 3-point position and do like a two-step drive out. Just mimicking the angle of acceleration, what it feels like to push away from the ground. That is all you're trying to do, right? You're trying to mimic that angle and push away from the ground. The goal is to push away from the ground. You want to do start series. So you want to make sure that you're doing some form of fallen start. You want to do a crouch start, 3-point start. And guys, make sure that you're mimicking the angle that you're trying to be in. I see athletes who put their arms across the line or put their arms in front of them, thinking they're mimicking the block start, but you're not really mimicking the block start unless your arms are right beside each other. Like they has to be right across from each other, right? Because when you get in the blocks, that's the same angle you're going to be in. So you want to make sure that you're doing fallen starts and block starts. And Have these in your training consistently. Don't wait until the season start to start doing block starts. That's what I see most athletes do. That's what most coaches do. They wait until, like, I train in Canada and I see coaches wait until maybe like indoor season before they start introducing blocks to the athletes, right? And that's when most athletes start ending up getting hurt. You want to be making sure that you're introducing these things early in the season. You could do them in flats. You could get out the blocks in flats, just learning the mechanics of sprinting and always reinforcing those mechanics, right? That's how you become a better sprinter. You want to do hill sprints. This is a substitute if you don't have sleds or you don't have a resistance machine. You could do hills. For the hills, you don't want a big incline. You want a gradual incline, maybe like a 5 or 4% incline. And what you want to do is 10 to 20 to 30 meters. Don't go any further than that, because you go further than that, you're not really accelerating anymore. You're getting up more into max speed or top end speed, right? We're talking about acceleration here. So 0 to 30 is the sweet spot. That's where you want to be working on it all the time, right? So hill sprints is going to be your next best thing. And for the hill sprints, you want to make sure that you're doing them from 3-point as well and 4-point. And if you have access to a hill that is not concrete or not road, that's like a grass hill, that's even better. Next thing you want to do here is bounds and skips. So power skips, bent knee bounds, straight leg bounds. What this is going to reinforce is hip strength, hip position, teaching you how to push away from the ground contact. Acceleration is all about ground contact. The better your ground contact is, the better you're going to accelerate. So the two top drills that's going to help you with ground contact is going to be bounding, specifically the bent knee bound. And the next thing that it's going to be is the power skip, right? Especially power skip for distance, not power skip for height, but power skip trying to go forward, because there's a difference, right? So those are going to be the two top things that's going to help you to work on ground contact. Next thing you can do in the drill series, you can do A skips and B skips. This is going to reinforce hip position. It's going to reinforce coordination. It's going to teach you how to maneuver your body, how to call on muscle groups to move as fast as you can. And when we think about acceleration, that's what it's all about. I could tell an athlete who will accelerate fast based on how I see them doing their drills. If I see them being passive in the drills and they're doing the drills wrong and they're not doing the drills properly, I know their acceleration is not going to be good. So you want to always be working on your A skips and B skips to understand coordination, and coordination is going to help you to accelerate faster. Next thing you want to do here is plyometrics. For plyometrics, you want to do a few. Don't do a lot. Like for me, my top plyometrics is going to be like broad jumps, because this is going to work on triple extension. Then you could do single leg broad jumps. Again, working on triple extension, right? Those are going to be your top two. That's going to really help you. And the next one you could do is you could add in some depth jumps, where that's going to teach you how to not create braking force, to be light, to understand how to push out of the ground quickly, right? Because the athlete who could minimize braking force is the one that's going to run the fastest, right? So how you minimize creating braking force is understanding how to jump and create distance quickly off the ground, right? And the broad jump is going to be your best friend. Single leg broad jump can be your best friend as well. Those are going to be the top two. Those are going to be beginner friendly stuff that any athlete could do at any level to help them to improve their acceleration. And lastly here is going to be, you want to make sure that you're contrasting. So I would say make sure that you're structuring this where you're not doing it every day. So you have one day where you're doing jumps, then you have another day where you could pair jumps and skips and bounds together, and then you have a specific day for hills, and then you have a different day where you're doing actual sprints, right? You want to make sure you're contrasting it. So speaking of contrasting is, let me give you guys a full breakdown, like a full week of how I would set up a training like this. Day one, we're focused on drills. So day one is going to be wall drills, skips, and it's going to be bounds. So bounds like power skips, all of those. That's going to be day one. And I would pair that with the broad jump and the single leg broad jump. And I would do that day one. Day two now, I would go acceleration, where I am actually coming out the blocks, doing falling starts and doing stuff like that to 30 meters, right? And then day three, I would contrast that with sled push and sled pull for 30 meters. And then day four, I would do some hills. And that's it, right? And I would continue doing that for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, then do a test. If you guys want me to do a full breakdown of how I would structure an acceleration training for 4 weeks, if you watch the video to the end, please comment make a video on this topic, or please comment acceleration program, please. And guys, I offer online training program for athletes. So if you're interested in training with me online, please let me know. Go to my YouTube channel, shoot me an email, serious inquiries only, or you could join my YouTube community, because I have tiers on my YouTube community where if you join it, I will send you a free sprint program, guys. So until the next video, it's Rockstar Arcado here, and I'm out.